Coming up on Wednesday, October 23rd at 7:30 at the Crecent Arts Centre, the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra is inviting audiences to go on a journey with them from the serene waters of Bach to the stormy waves of Shostakovich and Bach. Called Tempest, this concert will feature two renowned soloists, the MCO's own concertmaster, violinist Karl Stobbe, and pianist Andrew Armstrong. In addition, Stobbe will be leading the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra and guiding listeners through the waters of some fantastic music for violin, strings, and piano. Andrew Armstrong is one of the hottest pianists on the stage today. He has won 25 national and international piano competitions and has made a name for himself not only as a soloist, but also as a collaborative partner, performing with the likes of Itzhak Perlman, the American String Quartet, and his longtime duo partner, James Ennis. For Winnipeg listeners, Karl Stobbe needs no introduction, but I'm going to give one anyway. Aside from being the concertmaster of the MCO, he is also associate concertmaster of our Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. He is equally at home performing as soloist, chamber musician, or section string player. His playing has been described by London Sunday Times as a master soloist, recalling the golden age of violin playing. And aside from his phenomenal playing, he is also one of the nicest guys around. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk all things Tempest, I am joined by Karl Stobbe. Hey, Karl, great to have you here.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Great to be here always.
Before we get to the concert, in March, you released a great CD on the Leaf record label that features music of Bach, Paganini, and Isai, their solo works.
Yep.
How has this CD been received? And my understanding is it's part of a larger recording project. And when is the next volume from that recording project going to be?
Oh, that's a good
coming
question.
out?
I mean, I think it's been received pretty well. As I listen to Classic 107 regularly, it seems to get a lot of airtime, so I'm happy about that. It was certainly fun to make and fun to do, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. As for the next installment, that is starting to percolate in my mind. I have the music recorded. I don't know what's going to be on this album yet, but I recorded a lot of this music over the pandemic and since then. And basically, when I'm doing something that I think I want to put on one of these albums, I record it.
Right.
So there is a chance that there's something I want to put on one of the next two albums that hasn't been recorded yet. So that's in the works. Hopefully that'll get done soon. And I'm hoping that at some point next year, the next one will be out. Basically, it's all of the Bach sonatas and partitas paired with other music.
Yeah, and composers influenced by Bach, right?
Yeah, that's right. A composer influenced by him, and in one case, somebody who influenced Bach. So all of that is, it's coming out slowly. It'll take a couple of years still for it all to come out. And it's been a fun side project for me. I don't know, side project's not quite the right word, but
I'm looking forward to the next performance.
Thanks.
What is it about playing solo violin music that you enjoy doing so much?
I mean, most people who know me know I've been described as kind of a soft-spoken, sit in the corner by yourself kind of guy. I'm not exactly an extrovert. I love the idea that I can be in a practice room and I can play complete music.
Right.
It's finished. I don't have to add anything else to it. There's nobody else that needs to be part of it. It's incredibly intimate, and you get to put your heart and soul and into. I mean, in the case of Bach, you get to kind of talk to Bach.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, it's beautiful music. Who doesn't want to play it?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And then coming up on Wednesday's concert, you're playing one of the real Mount Everests of the solo violin literature, but his Bach's D minor chaconne from the second partita. But it's been arranged for string orchestra. Who did the arrangement?
I did. I say that now. I say it hesitantly because I appreciate the hubris of this is epically horrifying. The fact that I would touch Bach's masterpiece in such a way. How this came about was Andy and I had Andy Armstrong, the pianist. We had wanted to play Shostakovich violin sonata.
Mm-hmm.
It's not played very often. And as it turns out, it will have I think it's 56th birthday on Wednesday.
Perfect.
And we wanted to play it. And then the idea is, well, what do you play with the piece? The Shostakovich is a pretty epic piece.
Yeah.
And the last movement of the Shostakovich violin sonata is a chaconne.
Yeah.
A
Right.
chaconne being basically a set of a sort of like a set of variations on a bass on a harmonic progression,
Mm-hmm.
on a bass theme. And so, the chaconne is the obvious answer.
Right.
Of course, it's for an MCO concert, so it can't just be a solo violin performance of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, well, everybody's arranged the chaconne, right? And this is what I'm thinking. Everybody's arranged it. It's been arranged for everything. I think it's being arranged for a ukulele and banjo and certainly guitar and every
Pianos.
pianos in multiple forms for
yeah.
the piano.
Yeah.
For organ. So surely somebody has done it for string orchestra. And so I go out to look and yes, there was one. It was commissioned by a very good orchestra, a very good person. I thought this is going to work fine. So we've got it down. At the beginning of the summer, I get a copy of it. And we've already agreed to all the programming, so it's all written in stone, published, printed. I get a copy of it and I say, oh no, we can't do this. This is not, I don't like this at all. I can't make this work. And then I'm in a lot of trouble because I go looking for another one and I just cannot find anything that is suitable. And I'm walking around my house and I'm really in a foul mood about the whole thing because I don't know what to do. I don't want to play this. And I think at one point I'm at the dinner table complaining, and my wife will attest to the fact that I was miserable to be with, and I'm complaining. I'm saying, honestly, I could write a better version of this. And so Stephanie, my wife, she just looks at me and just says, Karl, then just please write one and stop complaining. And then over the next few days, I realized that probably this was an approach I should look at doing. I'm not an arranger. I don't do this for a living, and I very, very rarely do it, and I have never done it for a serious piece of music. I have done it for fun things, like little arrangements that my kids and I play. And of course, you'll say my kids and I, you'll think it's like a little thing. No, my kids were really good, and so they were arrangements for serious players.
Right.
But they were supposed to be fun and humorous. And the Bach chaconne is not humorous.
No.
It's fun, but it's not humorous. And so, it was a stretch for me. And so I basically got some software with which I could, not AI. I got some software and
and hopefully not Finale with them.
I actually got Sibelius.
Okay.
Yes. So I got Sibelius, the Sibelius software. Figured out how to use it. I had used something cheaper up until then, but realized this was going to be, I needed to be more serious. Got that, figured out how to use it, started writing, listened back, wrote some more, listened back, listened more, wrote, listened back. Called some friends. I said, okay, I've got something out that I want to try. Can you come over? So they came over, played it, rewrote a bunch of parts. And eventually I, came up with something that, fingers crossed, is going to work.
I'm sure
but,
it will.
But yes, the idea that of what I've done, I go back and forth saying is that this is a ticket straight to oblivion. Or if I've done okay, maybe it's a ticket to heaven and I can talk to Bach about it later. But
one of the things I was wondering about is, since you've done the arrangement, have you played the piece as a solo piece, and has it changed your interpretation or your understanding of it at all?
Yeah, I've played it. I haven't performed it solo since I've done the arrangement.
But you practiced it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as you're writing, you're playing it.
Yeah.
So does it? I've taught the piece many, many times, and I have taught it thinking that I've told many of my students that I want you to orchestrate it, to think about if I was to orchestrate this, how would I orchestrate it? Because that's how you kind of approach the different colors that you need to kind of grasp even as a solo player.
Right.
This is clarinets, this is horns, this is percussion, this is whatever. Now, I didn't orchestrate it for a full orchestra, but for strings. So I kind of was halfway there in that approach already, thinking I had already thought of orchestration ideas in my head, even as a student of it and as a teacher of it.
Yeah, and there's thicker textures in it. Like, as you were saying, it's a chaconne, and so it's a set of variations over this ground bass, but there's moments where there's double and triple stops where the texture is very thin, and then he backs off, and it's...
Yeah. He writes it, I mean, it actually translates really well because there's lots of parts where there are actually four voices going on.
Right.
So, I mean, then it's just, you just write them out for different instruments, right? It's not... there's lots of parts where it's a single voice, and then you have to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah. I'm sure it's just going to be fantastic, and something to hear, that's for sure.
Fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm with a fair amount of terror. So,
there's another big Bach piece on Wednesday's program. You're going to be doing Brandenburg 5.
Yep.
Every time I think of Brandenburg 5, I think of when recording I used to hearing Tafelmusik, where the harpsichord player just shreds in the first movement.
Yeah.
Andrew Armstrong is going to be playing the piano part. How did you meet him, and can you talk about your friendship with him, and why do violinists love playing with him so much?
Well, how I met him, I met Andy because Andy used to come here a lot with James Ennis. So anytime James was in town, and James and I are friends, and so we'd hang out when he was in town, and then I started hanging out with Andrew Armstrong, and Andy is an incredibly funny person to be around. He's not a difficult person to get to know. And so, and then after a few years, he was running a camp, and he called me and he said, "Karl, will you come and do this camp?" So I went, and we've been playing together, I don't know, once or twice a year for the last 6 or 7 years, I guess. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, he is a fantastic pianist.
Sure is.
One of the world's great pianist by any stretch, and certainly one of the world's great collaborators with violinists in particular.
Is he playing the keyboard part on harpsichord, or is he going to do it on piano?
It's going to be done on piano. He asked what, and I really like Bach played on piano. I think, Bach didn't have a piano then. He had a bunch of different keyboard instruments, and all of his stuff he played on different instruments. He played stuff on clavichord, on harpsichord, on our organ. Organ was probably his first instrument. Of course, he was a good violinist. So very good violinist. So I thought, and one of the problems with Brandenburg, one of the difficulties with Brandenburg, not problem, but one of the difficulties is that harpsichords are not very loud.
Right.
And so Brandenburg 5, I think, is actually a piece that is meant to be played in a small room with very few players. Because that way you can hear what's going on in the harpsichord, and the part is unbelievable.
It's probably what Bach had in mind when he wrote it.
I'm sure that's what he had in mind. But it's sure, when you're playing it in a bigger space, the harpsichord gets lost really easily. And so I just think, let's play it on piano, which is a stronger, louder instrument, which has got a lot more versatility and variety of things that you can do with it. And I think is probably better suited to the space that we're going to be playing it in, which is at Crecent Arts Centre. Crecent Arts Centre. It's called Crecent Arts Centre.
Yes. Yeah.
So and you know, I'm a longtime fan of Glenn Gould and the Goldberg variations, and that's done on piano. As I said, I really love Bach on the piano, so I'm really happy to do it this way.
It works. Mary Pariah did a great recording of Brandenburg 5 on piano. So absolutely. I want to talk about the storm in the concert, the Shostakovich. When I was researching for the interview, I didn't know it had been orchestrated.
It has, yeah.
Mikhail Zinman, have you played that version?
I have not. I've not played that version, and it's funny actually because the last Manitoba Chamber Orchestra concert of last season was the viola sonata orchestrated for string orchestra. That's rare. Mostly that one's played with piano. And this concert we're playing the violin sonata with piano, but it is relatively often done with the orchestral version. So we've kind of flipped the way that works. So yeah, no, I haven't done it with the orchestra version. I think it's a great sonata. It's a great piece that's not done that often.
And it is stormy.
It's stormy. I mean, it's. I guess I say it's a dark piece. It's a wonderful piece. It has these broken bells going on. These bells that instead of ringing true, they kind of ring out of tune and with a little buzz going on and through the whole piece. And it just kind of gives you this very eerie feeling. And the second movement is just a massive storm.
Yeah, it is.
Fury, absolutely
and
furious.
And there's that little bit of sort of a quasi cadenza in the final movement, which is.
There's a cadenza for piano, and then there's a cadenza for violin.
Yeah. And it was written for Oistrakh.
For his 60th birthday.
Yeah. So he was writing for a great violinist. What is it for you about the violin writing that you love playing?
Everybody loves to play Shostakovich. I shouldn't say everybody, but everybody I know loves Shostakovich because he says something. He's reflecting on his world, and what he has to say about the world through his writing, I think, is deeply profound and very important for, I think, the world we live in today.
Yeah, his writing is so cinematic, and it's such a reflection of what he was going through living in the USSR.
Yeah. I mean, more than I think any other composer I can think of offhand, his music is a reflection of his world. And it's incredible to see and to play. And his violin writing, he wasn't a violinist, but he clearly was adept enough that he could figure out how to write for a violin in a way that we could really make work.
And with a guy like Oistrakh to ask questions of,
no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The piece we haven't talked about is the Suk variations on an old Bohemian chorale. Now, in the program, it's St. Wenceslas, but it's not Good King Wenceslas that we're used to hearing at Christmas time. Where did you discover this piece?
I discovered it on YouTube. I was looking for another piece for this program, and finding beautiful string music is not difficult, but I wanted to find something that was that I think suited the program in a way. It is about Bach in a way. It's about Bach and Shostakovich. Shostakovich was a big fan of Bach, and actually, in my opinion, wrote in a way that was very similar to Bach, very contrapuntal. So I was looking sort of for a chorale. Bach is famous for his wonderful chorales. And so I think I just punched in chorale for strings, and this came up.
Really?
I had never heard it before, which I still find shocking. It's incredibly beautiful. And I think it's actually a shame that I haven't had the last 25 years of my professional career to play it and
I listened to it I listened to it this morning. It's a stunner.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful chorale. It's not the Christmas Carol that I think we're all familiar with. I don't know the original chorale, but that said, it's not hard to listen to. It's just beautiful lyrical string / choral writing.
Yeah, it's a great piece, and just a little miniature. It's only like about 5 minutes long.
Yeah, a little more, maybe 6.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I'm going to wrap up the conversation by asking what you're looking forward to most about Wednesday. Is it the playing? Is it the leading the MCO?
Oh, I couldn't pick any of it. I mean, I love working with all the musicians in town, my friends who I've worked with for close to 30 years now. So I know them all, everybody there is, an intimate acquaintance of mine,
Right.
intimate friend. And I think of all the things I'm looking forward to, as I always do, is I look forward to making music with friends.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's really why we get into this. I say half jokingly, I'm the guy in the corner who doesn't talk to anybody, but I'm still deeply attached to the friends I've made here, and to playing music with them on a high level, experimenting, doing new interesting things. As I said, I've having a work of my own, or an arrangement of mine, being publicly done in this format. That's new for me. I'm terrified of it and very excited about it. Anytime I play with Andrew Armstrong, great thrill for me. And Laura, let's not forget on flute
So
for Brandenburg 5.
Who is the flute player?
Laura McDougall.
Oh, it is Laura McDougall.
Yeah,
Okay.
longtime MCO flutist, and so happy to be playing it with her.
Wow.
It's just a lot of great music. For Shostakovich will be.
Yeah.
It's such an epic piece to play. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Karl, this has been really great having you in today to talk about your concert with the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra on Wednesday, October 23rd at 7:30 at the Crecent Arts Centre. All the best on Wednesday, and thanks for taking the time to stop by today. This has been fantastic.
Great pleasure to be here always. Thanks.